SIBO, this is how it's diagnosed, what it is, and how to fix it. And if you're doing traditional modern medicine and holistic stuff, your SIBO will never go away because it's not addressing the root cause. I used to have horrible Crohn's disease, which is like SIBO at its worst, but I don't have any symptoms anymore. I eat whatever I want, and I help people get better with my 13-day protocol. On my bio link, I have a free webinar that goes into much more detail. It's a free version of this. It's a mini version of this. So SIBO stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. There's also a term called small intestinal fungal overgrowth. They're almost the same thing. So this starts in the small intestine. People usually have symptoms like bloating, diarrhea, gut pain, or constipation. They go to the doctor, they can't get a diagnosis, and then they go to a naturopath and they order a breath test. And the gases that come out of your breath will detect if you have an overgrowth of bacteria in your gut or not. The problem with this test is that there's a lot of people that have a high level of bacteria in their small intestines, but they don't have symptoms. What's going on there? So a brilliant German doctor could look at your brain CT scan and know exactly what gut conditions any condition you had really. And so what's really going on in the small intestines is somebody suffered a conflict shock, a stressful situation that caught them off guard. Now the types of growths cell growths that can happen in the small intestine are flat growths. They help with absorption. So let's say I got broken up with and I can't absorb girls. I can't absorb girls, and I'm angry and I'm frustrated. Why doesn't she like me? Why is she dating my brother and not me? So the amount of cells that grow are proportional to how intense you experience that conflict. And while these cells are growing, bacteria and fungi are growing along with it. And to be more specific, it's fungi and mycobacteria, not bacteria. But when that conflict gets resolved, maybe you join the priesthood, or maybe you get another girlfriend, the body no longer needs these high maintenance cells and it starts to get rid of them with the help of bacteria and fungi. And that's when the fun starts. That's when the person gets diarrhea and they get bloated and they get fatigued and whatnot. Now, if the conflict doesn't relapse and the person hasn't developed a lot of PTSD triggers, these are all subconscious things that are impossible to predict. These cells get removed, they feel bad for a couple of weeks, and then they're back to normal. This person's back to normal. But that if they're not back to normal, probably the relationship is off and on, off and on, off and on. Or they're just really stressed out about girls. But if they're not and they're still having symptoms, they're encountering PTSD triggers. For example, maybe every time he sees a girl in a red shirt, he gets symptoms. Because when he first saw his girlfriend kissing his brother, she was wearing a red shirt. I'm dead serious. This is how ridiculous some of these PTSD triggers are. Maybe you were eating a sandwich when she broke up with you. Now your subconscious sees sandwiches as dangerous. It's weird. People are saying I'm gluten intolerant. I can have pasta, but it's like I can have toast, but if I have a sandwich, I have to go to the bathroom. It just doesn't make any sense. What is going on here? This is the silly system we have to work with. We are more bacteria and fungi than we are normal human cells. We evolved with bacteria and fungi. They are controlled by our brain. I've seen too many people take probiotics and antifungals and normal and natural antibiotics and have nothing to show for it after years. You might not know what your conflict is, and that's half the treatment. It's figuring out your conflict. Half the treatment is finding your conflict. Let me repeat, because a lot of you are going to say, I didn't tell you how to treat it. I didn't tell you what the cure is. Half the cure is finding the traumatic event because it's buried in the subconscious. And when I say that, a lot of you will, and I used to do this too, a lot of you will stop, oh, it was girl stress. It was girl stress. No, it was when you saw your girlfriend kissing your brother in a red shirt. That was the shocking moment. What was your shocking moment? That's where the PTSD triggers are formed. And now the stress stemming from that moment could possibly put your gut into overdrive. But the more I do this, the more I see it's these subconscious PTSD triggers, giving people diarrhea and gut pain. And for example, I was working with somebody the other day who was constipated with SIBO, And he was doing good, doing good, doing good. And then he became really constipated. And he goes, I know what caused it. My constipation started 3 years ago when I was breaking up with this girl. And, a few days ago, I was breaking up with this girl. It took like 2 or 3 days. But then when I broke up with her, the constipation stopped. And I was like, yeah, you see? I know you guys are in a lot of stressful situations that seem impossible to solve, but just becoming consciously aware that your symptoms are connected to that situation will at least reduce symptoms by 50%, a lot of the times. This is my 13-day protocol. So he had these realizations with my 13-day protocol. Your brain can only tolerate so much change in a day. So this is me right here in these pages, trying to flip the switches in your brain to release this subconscious trauma, putting your gut in and out of overdrive. My BioLink has a free version of this that goes into much more detail and shows you a lot more of the science behind the scenes.